This episode of Thinking Tackle is in association with Daiwa Linear BR Reels.
Welcome to the last in the current series of Thinking Tackle, and what a show we've got for you today. We're at Bluebells Lakes near Peterborough. It's a day ticket complex, so that means anyone can fish here, and believe it or not, they boast two different fish over 60 pounds, a common and a mirror. Now, we're not fishing for those today. We're going to fish on Mallard Lake, which has only been open about a year, and there's about 1,000 carp in here between 5 and 20 pounds, which is absolutely perfect for what we're going to be doing. You see behind me, we've got three guests there. We've got Mr. Broad from Angling Times that you've seen from Thinking Tackle before, and also we've got two guests. We've got Luke and Patrick. They've won a competition that was run in Angling Times to appear on the show. And this particular episode is going to be all about what they want to know and add to their own fishing. So we're going to do rigs, we're going to do bait, we're going to do casting, and we're just going to hone their skills so when they go back on their own waters, they're catching more and more fish every time. So let's get on with it.
Here we are, Luke. Now we've got the quite daunting prospect of facing this huge expanse of water, and we've got to find some fish in it.
Right.
But I've done a bit of sneakiness here. I've picked this corner of the lake because the prevailing wind blows in here, as it is now. You can see this nice ripple. This brings all the natural food here.
Okay.
And that's where the carp want to be. They want an easy meal, and this is where they're going to be. And I have actually been trickling a little bit of bait in. But what we've got to do now is we've got to find a spot out there, pinpoint an exact area where we're going to fish and where we're going to bait up.
Okay.
And to do that, we need a marker float setup. Very simple, but absolutely essential that we get this right, and this is a dedicated bit of kit to do it. And just talk you through this. We've got a big reel here. This helps with casting, so we can go to any distance out into the lake, and it's filled with braid. Now the braid is really important. Braid, one of its properties is it doesn't stretch. So when we cast out and we actually drag the marker float through the swim, the lack of stretch transmits all the feeling of the lake bed back up the braid, all the way through the rod and to you.
Right, okay.
And it's giving you information about what's out there, whether it's silt, whether it's weed, whether it's gravel, all that will be transmitted all the way through this braid and back to you. On the other end, we've got this. Now this is a drop zone marker. It comes in a kit, so nothing could be easier. You just get it straight out of the packet and put all the bits together and you get that.
Okay.
First of all is the lead. Now everybody thinks a lead's a lead is a lead.
Yeah.
This one has been designed to help transmit all that information back to you. If you look at it, it's been specially shaped, and these little lumps on the side of it, if you just look at that.
Yes.
Yeah. As you drag that across the bottom, they help catch things, whether it be weed, whether it be gravel, and it makes it all jolt and bounce, and all that feeling is, like I say, transmitted back up through the braid. Then we've got a stem. These stems, again, very clever design. Good to cast, so it stays tangle free. When it's on the lake bed, it stands up vertically like this. On the top, you've got a buoyant body that helps it stand up, which helps the float pull through it and go up to the surface. And then this lovely steel ring at the top, which, because the braid's very abrasive, if that was plastic, it cut into it and in no time at all you'd lose it. So we've got a nice steel ring there that helps. And then the other bit here is we've got the float and the bead. Now bead doesn't sound very important, does it?
No.
And well, to be fair, it is a little bit boring, but it is absolutely crucial. The bead there, if you see it, you see that shape?
Yes.
That helps stop all of this, you know, tangling, and gives it a nice stop.
I see, yeah.
We come to the really big bit, the nice bright bit, the marker float. Now this has been really carefully designed. It's been designed to be aerodynamic and cast, so it's that nice smooth tapered shape,
Okay.
so it flies through the air. It's very buoyant, so it pulls up, so you get nice positive feeling all the time, so it comes straight to the lake bit. And then to finish it all off, we've got this great big high-vis top. Now these tops actually unscrew. I'll just prove that it does, but they unscrew so you can change the colours of the top to varying light conditions so that you can see it all the time. So there we are, we're all set up with this, all ready to go. So what we need now is to cast it out into the lake and try and find a nice spot for us all. So if we just a little bit of show, I'll just step across you, Luke, and just stand there. Here we go, Luke. This is the exciting bit. We're just getting started. Right, position yourself for a nice cast. Arms nicely extended. Just give it a quick pull. Check nothing's tangled. Everything's sorted. And it's just nice, smooth, powerful punch. And then I trap the finger. Trap the line there with my finger. Very important. And I'm feeling it down, feeling it down. And yeah, it's going down. Oh, now big positive thump then.
Right.
That's hit down on an area of clean bottom.
Okay.
Felt that straight back through the bead, through the rod, bump. The next thing we do is we just tighten down to it all. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull, like I was telling you, and I'm going to pull just to feel what the lake bed is. And as we bring it through, that's coming really smoothly. That's pulling across soft silt or sand. It's going really smooth. See the tip?
Yes.
Just nice and steady. And oh, we've just hit a little bit there. We'll tighten back down to it. Just keep pulling, just keep feeling. A little bit of weed there. You see it just grab and pull.
Yeah.
So nice and smooth. And I see that, it's just so smooth. And that's a lovely area to fish on. It'll be just flat, silty, a nice area with natural food in, and the carp will come in on that sort of area and they'll graze almost like cows on a field,
right.
Just picking up natural food as they go. So that's a really good spot for us. Wind's pushing in, natural food in the area. We'll complement that with a bit of bait.
Okay.
So all we need to do now is start letting the float up, and this gives us our area and our marker.
Right.
So slacken that up and we just count up. So it's 1, 2, and this will tell us how deep the lake is.
Okay.
So we'll keep pain line off, just count in your head. And as soon as that float pops up, you'll see that lovely bright top of that drop zone float, and that'll give us a nice marker. We'll be able to bait up to that and spot it. It's deep out there, mate, really deep. Which is good at this time of year, a bit of a see that, the float's just fallen over on its side. Yeah, so I just tighten back up to it. Yeah, see, it's just stood up nicely, really visible.
Yes.
That's all we need to do now.
Okay.
Next thing, get some bait in. This is a spod mix we'll be using. It's a go anywhere mix. I would fish any lake in the country, anywhere in the world in fact with this.
Right.
It's got all the bits and pieces that carp love. Main ingredient right at the very start is hemp. This is the big bulk ingredient. Carp just simply love hemp. And all the little small bits of it, keep them rooting around on the bottom. Help hold them in that area.
Okay.
And then because we're going to be fishing boilies over the top, we just put a nice scattering of boilies in there. Only a handful, don't need loads, just a quick handful just to give the carp a bit of a taste.
Okay.
And after that, we've got pellet. Now pellet, again, I've got 2 different sizes here. A very small one, which helps keep the carp rooting again, all that attraction, searching and searching for food. They have to pick every little bit up. And then I've got some big pellets, if you can just see there, slightly bigger. These take longer to break down, so they sort of keep the activity in the swim just ticking over. Just helps hold the interest a little bit more. Then we've got our old favourite. This is probably the oldest carp bait there is, sweet corn. Cheap, bright, carp love it. So half a kilo of sweet corn, it's got to go in, got to go in. And then finally, for a little bit of extra kick, we've got tuna fish. Just open these, bang it in, mix it all up, and that helps. Just a subtle little flavour to it all. So that'll go in and we'll whiz it round and we're ready to go. So now all we're going to do is get this lot out there. This is a spod. Been designed, every little bit of it's to do a job. The shape of it is we fill it full of bait to carry the bait out to the marker. The body's actually tapered, so it helps to keep the bait in during the cast so we don't spill it everywhere. Fins keep it nice and stable. And right at the end is this bright, buoyant nose cone. This serves two purposes. One, it's buoyant, so when it hits the water, tips up like that, and all the spod mix falls out. So all these particles fall out through the water. And then this nice bright tip that we've got here, that helps us see where it lands in relation to the marker float. Okay. So we know how accurate we're going. Yeah. This is quite heavy when it's full, 5-6 ounces, something like that. So we need a really beefy rod. This is a purpose designed, dedicated spod rod to cast these. That's what you need, otherwise you can break your rods. All we do then is I need to do a fake cast to get me distance. So back she goes, and then we whack it out there. That's dead spot on. So all we need to do then is put this line in the clip. See that there? If we just tuck the line in, it's in there nice and tight, nice and tight. That gives us our range. Okay. So we now don't have to worry about how much effort we put into the cast. Yeah. We're going to bring the spod back now. Good practice, hold the rod high and reel in we can. It makes life easy. That just spins across the top, see it come back in. And then what you're going to do is we'll just bend down and we'll get this spod mix in, just keep it filling up, and that's up to the top, you see, and then we'll just tamp it down a little bit just to compress it. So when we're ready to go, it's actually about 3/4 full. Okay. You ready? This is a big moment, first time spodding. Here you go. Right, you've got this finger protection here. That's because we've got braid on, and that's because that's really heavy when you cast. That's just protect your finger. Okay. Open the bail arm. Yeah, let me just position that. There we go. Right, you get yourself all lined up. Just like, picture your target now. Right, go on. Right, hold the rod tip up, hold the rod tip up. That's it, ease it forward. Do you see do you feel how you reach the clip and it stops, then you have to ease forward. It's not bad, look, spod's right by it. It's within 6 foot, couple of metres. Okay. Right, spin it back in. Let's get this in. Close bail on. That's it, remember, keep rod tip high, bounce it back across the top.
This episode of Thinking Tackle is in association with Daiwa Linear BR Reels.
We're going to talk rigs now, and Patrick has kindly agreed to surrender the rigs that he had on when we first got here, so thank you very much for doing that. We're going to sort of pull them to bits, but it's all in the pursuit of perfection and getting it bang on right from now on. So first of all, mate, the hooking arrangement you've got on there, that's all tied fairly well. There's not really a lot to change about that. All I would say is the length of the hook length for where we're fishing now is a little bit short. Yeah, because we don't know what we're casting onto. If all that lot got snarled up in some weed, the hook link's so short that the fish won't be able to get the bait in their mouth. So I love short hook links, and if we can get them that short in the future, we will, but we'll catch a few fish first. Okay, and then moving a bit further down, we've got like a lead clip system there, but if I grab that, what this is basically designed to do is eject the lead if it gets snagged up when you're playing the fish. Well, on there, you see I'm putting a lot of pressure on that because there's a little tiny lug on the arm of that lead clip, and the eye on the top of the lead there is very small, it can't get off. So you can take the lead on and off personally, but the fish wouldn't be able to get rid of it, yeah? So we can update that as well. And then the next bit down, the rubber connector, I'm guessing that used to be a fair bit longer than that, did it? Yeah. Yeah? And you've done what loads of people do, they cut them down so they can get the tubing in easier, yeah? Yeah. Cool. You're not the first, mate. I've done exhibitions for years, loads of people do the same thing. What you're basically doing there is creating a flat spot on the top of that, so when you cast, if the hook link tangles around the tubing or twists around it, it will end up around that flat spot. So you leave the rubber longer so that there's a nice smooth graduation between that and the tubing. And it's great to have tubing on.
Yeah.
You know, tubing basically helps the line to sink, and it also protects the fish from the abrasive action of the line. So you imagine when you're playing a fish, that is rubbing up and down the fish. If it was just the mono rubbing up and down it, you could easily flick the scales off the fish. Yeah, so I always recommend you have something behind it. Personally, I'd have a little bit longer. Yeah, I know you've only got a very short hook link there, so you don't need too much a length of tubing, but just for the fish's sake, I'd have a little bit longer. And the other thing I noticed was there's a split shot on there, which I guess is to stop the whole lot sliding back up the line, yeah? Well, what it will do that, but what it'll also do is stop the lead from coming off. Yeah, so if the line snaps, we cut the line here off your rod, just say that that snapped and it's hooked up in the fish's mouth. If I shake that, because that's exactly what the fish is going to do, your lead clip has slid down your bit of tubing, but it's stopped at the split shot, yeah? So now that fish has got to drag that lead around. Simply by, if I take that split shot off and then repeat it, take that away, and then do the same thing as I shake it, so the fish is left with that now. And that's every rig you tie, you should always think, how is the fish going to get rid of the lead if the line breaks? Yeah? So it's a common thing loads of people do, and it's great you've done it, because we haven't ever shown that before, because as a matter of course we don't do it, you see, so that's excellent. Moving on to my sort of version of it, very similar, we've got a lead clip and everything involved, but I've got a few subtle changes which do make a big difference. So first of all, we've got a bit of plastic corn on the end there that I've flavoured up. What do you think that does?
Gives it a little bit of buoyancy.
Yep, a little bit of buoyancy. It doesn't lift it off the bottom, but it basically counteracts the weight of the hook, which means it goes in the fish's mouth a little bit easier, yeah, which is what we want. And then anything else?
It's the fish can see it.
The fish can see it, exactly right, bang on. You imagine if the fish come into the swim, I always try and think underwater, yeah? So the fish come into the swim, there's a little dot of colour, oh, what's that? And they have it, yeah? And it sounds simple, but it really does work. And then I've got just a chopped down boilie, yeah? Basically, I try to avoid round baits if I can, because every round bait has got a hook in it, isn't it? Yeah? So just try and avoid a round bait. I think they might be taken a little bit easier. And then we've got a size 8 wide gape hook, which is my favourite hook. A little bit of silicone tubing, and what that basically does is it helps the hook to grab the fish's mouth. Just by putting that bit of tubing on, you're going to improve the rig. And radically on there, I've used exactly the same line as I've got on the reel, I've used on the hook link. So people think, they get obsessed, you've got to use an expensive hook link material to catch fish. You don't have to. You know, 15 pounds a spool or whatever, it's got to be that. Simple line on a lake like this, which is not too pressured, it's a simple mono hook link like that, just tied with a knotless knot, the line off the reel, absolutely perfect. And just to show you how I've attached it on there, basically, so that little teardrop shaped loop there, that's called a link loop. And then we've got a quick link, which is like a snap link sort of affair, and that just helps me to take the hook link on and off without having to break anything down. Yeah, so that just gets covered up. If I just wet that, that just gets covered up by that bit of silicone, and what that basically does is it stops the chance of it getting off when you cast or when you're playing a fish. Yeah, and then the lead clip bit I was talking about with the lead coming off, if I hold the end there, if you hold the lead, so you're the snag and I pull against you, it comes off. Yeah, so, but it took quite a lot of force, so if it doesn't get snagged up, you won't lose the lead. But if it does get snagged up, if you let the line go a little bit slack, the fish will actually pull the lead off for you, and then you're playing the fish again. So what we say is it's better to lose a lead than lose the fish, the lead, the rig and everything, you know. But if you push that rubber on about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way, that lead will only come off if it gets caught. And you see there the difference from your system. I've kept that rubber exactly as it was intended, and we've got a nice smooth graduation between the thickness of this bit here and the tubing itself. So there's nothing for the hook link to catch on. Yeah, and then probably, I don't know, 14 to 18 inches of tubing. You know, just it needs to be a few inches longer than the hook link. So that's probably 6-7 inches longer than the hook link. So that's what I would recommend. We've got some other rigs to show you as well, but we want to get these out there and try and get a few bites. But before we do, we're going to add a PVO bag. So what I'm going to show you now is my top bag mix. All right? Yeah. Cool. The first thing to do, right, before we start, is these hook baits are not preserved, but they're not going to go off either, which is rare. Normally, stuff you put on the shelf in the shop that doesn't have to go in the freezer has got preservative in it. These haven't, which makes them even better. Now what I've got is a tin of tuna in brine, and all I'm going to do is just pour some of that brine into those hook baits, just enough for what we're going to use for this session. Seal that up, and what that's basically going to do, all that tuna-y salty water is soaking into what is already a brilliant hook bait. Yeah, so we'll leave them soaking. You can do that before you leave home if you want, but that combination alone is a brilliant fish catcher. But that's not enough for us, we're going to do more. So our tin of tuna in brine, the whole lot goes into a bait box or Tupperware dish or whatever, anything you can nick off the missus basically indoors. Right, just smash that up a little bit, just to get it all nice and separated so it's not in big chunks. And then the first thing I'm going to put in there is some pellets. These are 4mm super halibuts, and we're going to put them in first, basically so that they draw in some of the juice that's in the tuna. So with our fork, again nicked out of the kitchen, we just smash that around like that. And this is basically, I suppose normally you just use pellets, do you, in a bag mix? Yeah. This is just adding a whole new dimension to a bag mix, just with a tin of tuna. Obviously, it's going to go off, so you can only use it on this session, and if it's very warm, it goes off even quicker. So keep it out the sun if you're fishing with it in the summer, and probably get away with a few more in there. Just a nice small pellet. You could use a mix of pellets as well if you wanted to, 3, 4, 6mm, that sort of thing. Just give that a nice mix round. Now at the moment that's too wet to go inside a PVA bag, yeah? So to dry it out, what we're going to do is just add a little bit of this groundbait. Cheers, mate. Let's open that up. There we go. Right, this is a fish meal groundbait, so it's ground up fish, very similar to like a boilie mix really, very pungent and attractive in its own right. And basically what it's doing is it's adding attraction, but it's also drying it out sufficiently so we can get it in a PVA bag. And this little bit of extra effort, believe me, it makes such a difference to how many bites you get. Now, if you take this to your own local water, everybody will be round in your swim wanting to know what's in it, yeah? But it's very, very simple. A decent ground bait, decent pellet, and a tin of cheap tuna, and that's it. Done. Now that in itself is probably just dry enough to go in a PVA bag. If I pick that up, it sort of forms, but not quite. It's still a bit damp, but we can get that inside a PVA bag. And what will happen over the next few hours, all the juice will draw into that ground bait, into that pellet, and make it even better. So that's the mix done. Let's tie up a couple of bags, yeah?
Right.
Cool.
Yep.
You ever done this before? Made up a bag like this?
Yeah, but with pellets.
With pellets,
yeah.
Right, okay. Very, very similar, but what I don't do is try and pick it up and pour it down there. I use the side of the bait box and just scoop it up, just a little tiny bit, and then with the compressor that comes in with it, you just push it down, put your thumb on the end, and then really give it a push, and then just push it out the end like that.
Right.
Take your compressor out of the way. You can leave that sitting in the top of it, and then just a simple granny knot, a simple overhand knot. Pinch the top of the bag. This is how to get it tight, and then pull the knot down onto the top of the bag like that. Same thing again, simple overhand knot, pull it down tight. So you've got 2 knots close together, and then cut between the 2, and that's your bag done. See, that's not melting. This stuff is moist, but it's not wet enough to melt the bag. So I don't make them up miles in advance, just as you're going to need them, but I'll do a couple up for you, and then you can have a go. So just scoop it up with the side there. Anything more than golf ball size is a waste. The thing to always think about is we're trying to catch them, not feed them. People use big bags thinking they're going to get bites quicker, and it actually works the other way. It takes longer to get a bite. So that's a couple done. We've got enough to get the rods out now. Once we're fishing, we'll get a few more tied, just in case we start getting bites, yeah? Cool.
This episode of Thinking Tackle is in association with Daiwa Linear BR Reels.
Welcome back to Thinking Tackle, and as you can see the weather's changed completely. Better for fishing, not so good for filming. It's very, very windy now, but Luke's had one a little while ago, so we're going to go through the fish care section now. First of all, mate, I would say a mistake a lot of people make is they try and lift the fish out of the water like that, and they end up breaking the landing net, yeah? So what I always do is actually undo it like that, and then get the pole out the way. The other thing I'd say is the pole really is a bit flimsy for the net. So you'd want a more solid pole. That's more suited for if you're using a pan net, you know, for float fishing. So I would recommend you get something a little bit more sturdy.
Okay.
We get that out of the way, and then rather than lifting it out with all the net open, I'm just going to literally roll the net up like that. And then before we lift the fish out, and this is very, very important, you must make sure his fins are flat against his body. They're not bent back the other way.
Right, okay.
It's like being lifted up with your arm bent backwards and all your weight being on it, yeah? So you just run your hands down it, both sides. That's fine, it's all flat against his body, and then we put him straight onto the mat. There he goes. What a stunning little carp we've had, mate. Look at that.
Beautiful.
He's a beauty, yeah. Right, what I'll do is if I lift him up, then what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to take my watch off, and I recommend you do the same if you've got one on.
I haven't.
Right, okay, cool. Just in case you catch him with any sharp bits, I'll just lift him up and you take the net out of the way. Right, I've zeroed this already, so I've taken the weight of this off of the scale, so when we hoist him up, whatever he goes.
Right.
And I've wet it all. You see there, we've got a bucket there in the front, wet the mat, wet the sling, everything. You don't want to be taking the protective slime off the fish. And then on there, there's a weighing crook there. That will help. We'll hoist them up. It's going to be difficult to do it because it's windy, but we'll try it all the same. See how much he goes. He is bigger than I thought he was actually. £8.12. Wicked, lovely little carp. Right, back down to the mat, and I'll just show you holding him wise. You're right-handed, yeah?
Yes, I am.
Right, okay. So if you just pull your sleeves back a little bit, I'll just get a bit of water on my hands. Right, if you're right-handed, it's normally better to hold the fish's head in your right hand. It just feels more natural. So basically, you slide that hand down his body and get your fingers round the ball joint of that fin, yeah?
Yep.
And then the other hand, you can either grip around the anal fin there, or what I do is I put my thumb against the spine of the fin and actually extend the fin out like that.
Right.
And then when you hold him up, you want to be nice and straight. What some people tend to do is they're bending backwards or they're rolling forwards. They don't look as big. You want him nice and flat to the camera. Don't bend him round like that. That makes him look smaller. So you don't want to hold him right out like that. Just nice and close to your body,
right,
but nice and flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if he wriggles, all I do is that. So he can wriggle backwards and forwards in your forearms. You know what people when they wriggle, they let go of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just if you lower him down to the mat again, he'll be fine. So if I put him down, we'll give him a bit more water. Very important to have a bucket with you all the time. If you want to have a go at picking him up and presenting him, that's it, down there. Those fingers around that ball joint, just the tips of your fingers. That's it, good. Round there. So there's just, that's it, lovely. Just actually round the ball, that's it. And then you've got
it, yeah, I see.
And then as little fingers showing as possible, just in the tips of your fingers. And again, he's rolling back ever so slightly. So
I've got him
straight like that. That is it, absolutely. What a stunning creature that is. Absolutely beautiful. Right, let's get Mr. Broad in and get a couple of pictures done. We'll be catching him at £30, won't we, mate, eh?
Right, smile, and again, lovely, lovely smile.
Nice.
Absolutely perfect, fellas.
Wicked. Right, let's do ones on the other side. Just put him down, just spin him round like that in the water, and then do them again. Look at that. What a stunning carp.
Don't come much better than that, do they?
They don't. They're all like that in here, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's it. So round that ball joint before you pick him up, and then if anything happens, you've got something to grip hold of. Yeah?
Right.
Yeah.
Fingers
and then
around
pick him
there.
up. Fingers around there, and that's it. And just
Nice and
present
flat.
him nice and flat to the camera. Wicked.
Right, come on, smile everybody. You're meant to be happy.
We're living the dream, Steve. We're living the dream.
Lovely.
Wicked. Wicked. Good skills. Right, and then straight back into the sling. Again, make sure all his fins are nice
Fins
and
are
flat.
down.
Just fold him up like that, and then we just carry him back to the water in the sling. We just bring him out far enough so his belly's not scraping on the bottom.
Okay.
Get a bit of water on him. There he is there. Just get the unhooking mat out of the way. Off he goes. Adios. See you when you're bigger. Right, mate, let's catch another one, shall we?
Yep, let's do it.
That's it, mate, down on the mat. Patrick has got an absolutely stunning fish to show you. Not the biggest one in the world. 9 1/4 I think he went, but what a carp. What a carp. Now, are you right-handed?
Right-handed, yeah.
Right, so we're flipping around the other way. So he's in your right hand. His head's in your right hand. Look at that. Fully scaled. Beautiful. That's it, mate. Watch off. I'll keep an eye on him. Keep a bit of water on him.
Wet ones.
Just cover his eye up because it's very bright for them when they're out of the water. Good man. It's a lot of time they flip because it's so bright,
Yeah.
and they obviously the water's much darker, so they're used to darker conditions. So if you just literally, it's a bit lively this fella, slide your hand down there. Now you see there where he's flipping backwards and forwards. If I get around that ball joint, if he does flip backwards and forwards, just roll him back on your forearms like that and he'll be fine. And just present him up to the camera like that. Do you want to come in, Mr. Broad, and get a picture? So round, that's it. That fin there should be flat against his body at the back, and your fingers around that ball joint. That's it. And so he's nice and straight. A bit slippery, aren't they?
Yeah.
So he's nice and straight to the camera like that. If you imagine if you're looking down on him, he's perfectly straight.
Come on, gentlemen. Look at me, Patrick. Look at me. Smile. Come on. Smile, mate. Be happy. It's a brilliant fish.
He struggles with that, doesn't he?
Come on, smile, mate.
All good?
Yeah, just one more. One more.
What a stunner.
Everybody look. Nice.
Yeah?
Yes.
Wicked.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Good skills, mate. Let's get him back and get the kettle on, I think. Get out of this weather. Yeah, I'll do that for you. Okay, you beauty. Off you go. Back to grow bigger. See you next time.
This episode of Thinking Tackle is in association with Daiwa Linear BR Reels.
Well, we were going to be doing some casting practice, but God's put paid to that by turning the wind up. So we're just going to do a little bit of finding out about these guys and sort of what sort of fishing they've been doing, and seeing if they've got any questions about the sort of stuff that we do. So first of all, Luke, how long have you been angling?
I've been angling for about 17 years now.
Right.
And I've been specifically fishing for carp for about 8 months.
Is that all?
Yes.
Right.
I'd never caught a carp before.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd never caught a carp before you started carp
No,
fishing?
No. And the
Wicked.
first time I went, my first one was a 9.5 pound one.
Right. Wicked.
So I was really pleased. First one over £2.
And what regions do you fish in? What areas do you fish in?
Nottingham and Derbyshire areas.
Right, okay. And lakes or rivers or?
Mainly lakes. I've brought myself a ticket for a local few waters, and mainly I've been practicing on the ponds.
Right.
I want to get on to doing a bit of river fishing shortly, but I want to get my skills sorted first before I get on the river.
Yeah, you've done a bit of river fishing, haven't you?
Yeah, I love it. You can't get enough of river fishing. The River Nene that runs right round the edge of this complex is probably one of the best carp rivers in the country.
He's never taken me, I would hasten to add, so that must be good.
Yeah.
Oh, Billy's nearly blown away now. And Patrick, when did you start carp fishing?
Carp fishing, probably about 10 years ago, on and off.
Right.
Having breaks in between various reasons. But fishing on the whole about 20 years.
Right, okay.
On and off again. Like
Right. And as what we've done over the last couple of days, has it opened your eyes to anything?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What sort of things has it added, do you think?
Well, when I was casting, I thought I was casting right.
Right.
For me, I was casting right. But,
Yeah.
you know, obviously, it's the best way to learn is by watching the experts, people who know what they do to do it. But when I was trying to cast where you was casting to, I was having to work it. It just seemed to be so easy for you to do it. But obviously, practice makes perfect.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, as I've said when we're spodding, I've cast that particular rod 10,000 times, and that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
So when you do it that much, if you don't get good at it, there's something wrong, isn't there?
Yeah.
Right, you know.
And it is. We were describing to you yesterday that you're used to driving a car.
Yeah.
You know how to change gear, you know how to brake, you know how to do everything. Fishing tackle's just the same. The more you use it, the better it gets, and it becomes an extension of your arm. And you begin to feel really comfortable with it. And up to the point where if something's wrong, you even know by the feel of it that, oh, something is a bit tangled, something's just not quite right. You just know by everything feels.
Even as when the rig's dropping through the water, you believe it or not, you can tell if it's tangled when it's dropping through the water, because it just drops at a different rate to an untangled rig, because it's all up in a ball rather than all streamlined. Oh, was that just the wind out there?
The wind,
Yeah. And what is there anything that you guys would like to know that we haven't gone through? Any burning questions or anything like that?
And back leads. I've never used a back lead. I've seen one or two people use them, but
Right.
I've never actually used one.
Right.
Is it a right or wrong way?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I would say if the bottom's very up and down, don't bother, because the back leg goes down to the bottom. There's something coming off the bottom in between you and the rig, and the line's just going over it and down the other side. So it doesn't really do you any advantage. If the bottom's nice and flat, the back leg goes down onto the flat bottom, and then it pins the line along the bottom all the way out to the rig. So in that situation, silty places are very flat because the silt has taken all the lumps and bumps out the bottom. So they work well with back leads. If you do use them, just make sure you slide them out as far as you can, because if you slide them onto a marginal slope, say it's 10 foot deep, and you slide them out and it only goes down to 5 foot, and your rig's in 10 foot, the line is actually off the bottom from 5 foot down to 10 foot. So again, it's helped, but it hasn't done the job perfectly. There's nothing worse is there than playing a fish when you've got a back lead on and then it getting caught under the line that's got the back lead on. That is carnage, isn't it? So as long as you get them out a long way, the bottom's fairly flat. If it's weedy, don't bother, because they'll just get snarled up in the weed and cause more problems. But I would say on a lot of the smaller commercial lakes, which are just dug nice and flat, if everyone's using tight lines, definitely use a back lead or use a slack line, because the fish are used to seeing that line so tight. They go into an area and they can't see it, there's more chance of getting a bite. So that's a definite. That's a definite. Anything from you, Luke?
With regard to rigs, I get to my waters. Some are weedy, some are silty, some have got a sandy coloured bottom. I never know where to start, whether I need to set up a helicopter rig, a running rig, a fixed lead rig. How do you determine what rigs to use on certain waters?
Well, again, it's good to get used to a setup that you sort of fall back all the time, like a lead clip system with either tubing or a leader is about as versatile as you can get.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's definite advantage to some rigs, but it's better to have one that'll almost go anywhere, and that's a fantastically versatile setup. So you can basically stick with that bit. So rig tubing or a sinking leader, a lead clip, that'll do you. And then it's your hook link, you're going to match it to what you're fishing over. So you're fishing a commercial lake that's probably been clay lined, so it's got a clay bottom. So you want a nice clay colour, you know, nice pale rig material.
Yes.
So you've got your camouflage aspect out of the way. Traditionally, again, on commercial waters more than anything, it's the length of your hook link that'll be the real key to success, because if you go and look, you wander around and just have a quick sneak look at how everybody's fishing, you'll probably see that everybody is casting out a rig that long. Everybody.
The hook link that long? Yeah.
Just the hook link. It'll be about that long.
15-ish inches long.
No, that's about 10 man inches and 6 lady inches long, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's two ways to think about this. You either go to one extreme or the other. That big or that big. I would tend to say on commercial waters where the fish have been used to being caught, used to being fished for, go shorter. Because that way, as soon as it picks the bait up, you're in contact with that lead. And that's the bit that does all the work for you.
Yes,
so
that sinks the
yeah,
hook.
so you want him to go down, pick the bait up, feel the way to the lead and go, and off he goes.
I see,
Yeah.
yeah. A
So,
short
yeah.
shock.
So
Yeah.
short is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the basic for you. You stick with that basic rig, and as your knowledge goes and your confidence grows, you'll start changing things and adapting things. And you might have the confidence all of a sudden to think, well, I'm actually going to fish a big long braided hook link like this because the bottom's a bit weedy or silty. And you'll learn to adapt as you progress, but master one thing and get your confidence up in that one thing.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And to find out what the bottom's like at my venues is like the marker float work that we did yesterday.
Yeah, and feel everything's very tactile. We're really lucky. Everything's really tactile, and you can feel that lead down. And after a while, you'll cast it out, and you'll just go, "Oh, that's silt. Oh, that's gravel. Oh, that's a bit. Oh, don't want to be over there. That's a bit horrible. Weeds."
Right.
Yeah.
You'll get used to it.
Cool. Well, sound words of advice. I think we need to do a little bit more spodding. That's one thing actually to round up on. Places like this, a venue that's not been fished a lot, where the fish are hungry, don't be afraid to put more in. The sound of the splash of the spod, a few more pellets going over the top of their head, all that sort of thing. You know, if it's a very pressured lake, you can have too much commotion. But on somewhere like this, especially when the conditions are as good as this, it's worth getting some more bait out. So I think we should do that now.
Okay.
Cool. And we are in again. How's the rod feeling, Patrick?
It's okay, it's nice, feels nice. Yeah, comfortable.
Well, I've got a bit of a confession to make, mate. You know I said that you were testing them?
Yeah.
Well, Daiwa are actually going to give them to you. So you are playing a fish on your rods at the moment. There he is, look. There he is. So, oh, he's just caught up in that other line. 1 second. That's it. So it's over the top. You just keep the rod there and I'll kick the line out of the way. Basically, I told Patrick that. Oh no! Oh, mate! That is fishing, unfortunately. What a gutter!
It is.
That's not living the dream, is it?
No, that is not living the dream, man. That is not living. But at least you got a set of rods and reels out of it, eh?
Thank you.
And mate, we've got a set for you as well. But spod rods
Living
and
the
reels.
dream again. Living the dream again.
Yeah, basically they're going to turn up soon, hopefully. But you're going to get a spod rod
Thank you
and
so
reel.
much, Danny. Thank you.
Thanks a
Pleasure.
lot.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Steve.
Mate,
Thanks
what
for everything, mate. We've had a fantastic time here. It's been
It's
brilliant.
been brilliant. Yep.
Well, we've still got time. Let's get the rod back out and get another one. Good lad. Make sure his fins are all flat. Excellent.
Line down his body.
Good, good. Oh, mate, look at this weather. What a pretty little carp he is.
I'll let Patrick get in and do the honours.
So, open him up. There's that hook. Oh, he wanted that, mate. Let's just turn that round so everyone can see that. You see on his mouth there, that's hooked in beautifully. We'll just carefully take that out.
Right.
There we go. Absolutely pristine mouth on him. Get that out of the way. There we go. Bit of water on him. And Patrick, if you want to lift him up, I'll take the net out of the way and just, is that wet inside there? Yeah. You can just lift him straight into that waist sling, mate. There you go, beautiful. Take the net out of the way. Just let that water drain out so we get a true reading. He is a double figure carp. He's also going to get blown around like you wouldn't believe. That is 11 and a half. Excellent, good skills. Right, sir, you had him, you lift him up and show everyone. Oh. What a beauty, look at that. Stunning. Wicked. A few less fingers, mate, just in the tips of your fingers.
Hold him down.
That's the one. Excellent. Well, that's all we've got time for in this edition of Thinking Tackle. Thanks very much to all our guests, Mr. Broad, Patrick and Luke, and thank you to the people at Bluebell for letting us fish on mallard. I'm sure we'll be back to catch a few more of these scaly ones. And as Luke says, we're living the dream. Thanks for watching.
For a chance to see more of the underwater footage shown in this series, check out the state-of-the-art underwater carp fishing series, available from all good tackle shops.
This episode of Thinking Tackle is in association with Daiwa Linear BR Reels.